All right. How's everybody doing today? So excited to have you along for the ride this week. This is my week. Um, and let's see here. There we go. Turn this. There we go. Oop. Maybe not. There we go. How's that sound? Does that sound better? I don't know. Maybe it sounds better. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Anyway, hello. Happy Friday. Hope everyone's having a great week so far. Or whenever you're tuning in, I hope you're doing well. This is Data to Dashboard Workout Wednesday edition for Friday, January 10th. And we're going to be looking at how to visualize ranges in Tableau with area charts. So let's take a look at what we're going to be doing today. Pull over my Workout Wednesday browser here. There we go. And flip over here. How we feeling? Well, you can't see my face. That's not good. Alright, so let's figure out where my face is at. And here I am. There we go. Okay, so we're going to be visualizing ranges with area charts. So we're going to be doing, it's a single sheet. We've got glucose levels. All right. So we're looking at, this is basically the data. If we flip over to Tableau real quick, we can see here that the data is glucose blood sugar readings every 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes for 2 weeks, this is what our ranges are. This is what our glucose reading is. So what we want to be able to do with this data is we want to be able to show what the median is, right? And we want to be able to show the different percentiles. And we want to kind of shade those different bands different colors, right? So it kind of looks like a layered, really thick line chart, right? And it's kind of layered, right? So it's kind of that 3D aspect to it. So, which is going to be pretty cool. So we're going to be showing off one of my favorite kind of tips and a few different tips and tricks that are not widely used or known about. So let's just dive right in. This is one of those deceptively simple challenges. It looks intimidating, but when you figure out what it is, it's like, oh, okay, that's it. Awesome. So, so we've got our data here. Let's flip over to sheet 1. And let's do what we're going to do is we're going to put continuous hour or discrete hour on columns. So we have all of that, and then let's format this real quick. We're going to format this, and it's going to be the 12 hour. Right now, I know when it's published, it still goes back to the digits, and I think that's just that's a bug with Tableau Public and publishing. But here in desktop, you can see what it is. So what we're going to do is we're just going to create a bunch of calculated fields, right? So we're just going to create a calculated, this will be the median. I'll show you this one real quick. It's just the median of glucose, like that. And we'll just put that right there. Right? You can see that, and then we'll make it a dashed line. Was it that? Yeah, dashed. We'll make it black, or dark gray, I should say. There we go. I think that's the color I used. That looks right. So that's the median. And now what we need to do, you can see here that I am showing a maximum. I am showing a maximum. I don't have it labeled. We'll get to that tip in a little bit. It's a pretty cool one. But I have a maximum. I have the minimum, the 5th, the 25th, the 75th, the 95th, and the maximum. Right? Now, I don't have the 50th percentile because what is the 50th percentile? It's the median. All right. So so that's why I didn't label it. I just called it the median. So we're just going to go create a bunch of these. We're just going to go create these. So this will be the minimum. I'll just call it min for now. And it'll be the minimum. Min what? Min glucose. So this is you're gonna see a lot of typing here. We're gonna do the 5th percentile. And we're just gonna do the percentile of glucose. And then the way that we find the percentile value is we have to input what percentile we want to show. And so we'll do comma 0.05. So that's the 5th percentile, right? 0.05, 5%. And from here, we can just, so now we have the 25th percentile, and that's going to be percentile of glucose of 0.25. The 75th percentile, which is percentile of glucose 0.75. And then we do the 95th. And lastly, we'll do the max. So essentially, let me show you how these calculations are actually working in the background. So actually, I don't need them. I just need to wrap this in a max. Okay, so we know, because of what we saw earlier in the data, is that for each, we have 5-minute readings every 5 minutes. So that means for each hour, and then we have that, what is that? So we've got how many 5-minute intervals? Well, there's 60 divided by 5. That's 12, right? Is that right? There's 12 5-minute increments per hour, but then per hour per day, and we're doing it over 14 days, right? So we do 12 times how many? 14. So that's 168 readings per discrete hour. All right, we can actually show this by bringing out glucose and making this a dimension, right? So you can see here are all of the different readings for each hour, right? So if I hover on all of these, there should be 166. Oh no. Yeah, 66. So there's 66 readings. I may have had my math mixed up, and that's all right. Okay, so we've got a few, right? So we've got 70 here. How many do we have here? 75. Okay, so anyway. So this is what's happening, right? So this is what we're showing. And then up here is what we're actually showing the median, right? So we're showing the median of all of these values. And then what we did with all of these calculations over here is we said, okay, looking at all of these values, what is the minimum value? Well, it's obviously the bottom one, and the max is the top one. And then for all the percentiles, it's going, it's looking at all of these values, figuring out what the 25th percentile is, and then stamping whatever that value is into this measure, right? That's essentially what's happening in the background. So let me get this back to a line chart. There we go. So we'll just keep this here to kind of continue showing you what's happening. Now, let's, so I'll bring the minimum out. And, yeah, this one got kind of, there we go. And we actually want this to be an area, right? Because what's happening, basically this is just an area chart. This is where it's one of those tips and tricks that are not widely used or known about. The way that you build this is by unstacking area charts and then layering them in the correct Z order, right? Which is pretty cool. So we have the minimum here, and then I can just, I can see the maximum, right? But actually, what I'm going to do, as I mentioned, I'm going to stack these. I'm going to layer them. I'm going to layer all of my calculated fields besides the median, all of these percentiles, min and max. I'm going to stack them, or I'm going to put them on the same axis, and then I'm going to unstack them and layer them correctly. So the way that we do this, so we have the minimum here, and I will just do one of these, right? I'm going to grab the percentiles, and I'll grab the max, and then I'll just grab those and put those as a combined axis. And Tableau makes a combined axis, which is a measure names and measure values here, right? Now, by default, as an area chart, Tableau just stacks each one on top of each other. So you can see here, and this is where you need to think about what you're doing when you're building area charts in general, regardless of a Workout Wednesday challenge, is do you want them to be stacked? Because that's a part to whole, right? And sometimes that makes sense. But in this, we're not stacking the different glucoses together, because, my goodness, I hope you don't ever have a glucose reading of 600. That would be absolutely awful. So, just something to think about. So, the way that we deal with this is we go up to Analysis, and in the Analysis menu, the third option is Stack Marks. And by default, it's going to be automatic or on for your different mark type, right? But what we can do is we can just manually turn these off and watch what happens to that area chart down below. Now you can see how they're all layered, and they all have the same axis, right? They're all layered, which is nice. Now all we have to do is layer them in the correct order. So what I can do is I can take, I want max to be at the very top. I want the 5th to be here. I want the 25th to be here, and I want the 75th to be here, and then the 95th and that, right? So that means that my max, do I want it this way? I think I want it the other way. Yes, because right now the max is on top of everything, so this is actually in reverse order. So let's just reverse it. Like this. Nope, that's what I just had. Let's bring everything. This is what I want. I want to bring it this way. There we go. And now, all we have to do is color each of the different area charts to the respective colors, and we've got our thing. We're done with this one. We understand how that's working. So now I'll go edit my measure name colors. And we know that we want minimum to be white. Let's look. We have, and then, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click apply. And the other thing we need to do is we need to bring our opacity up. We'll do that later. We'll do that. We'll do opacity at the very, well, it's, because I really do want to, I do want to kind of build this in layers. So, so there we go. Now we have bright colors, but what you can see is we have nothing below, which means there's no values below the minimum, and that makes sense, right? So now, when we go to edit our colors, we know that our 5th percentile is this one right here, right? So it's they're stacked on top of each other, right? Or they're stacked on top of each other like this, right? So if you can imagine my hands here, right? So this is the minimum, right? This is the minimum area chart, and this is the 5th percentile, right? And so you can see they're stacked on top of each other. So if I color the minimum white with no opacity, then that's the only thing that's going to show through are the things above my fingertips, which is exactly what we have here. All right, so let's go grab those colors. And we know that it's going to be that color. And there we go. And now watch what happens when I click. See how it changed that color? Now we also know that it's also the 95th to the maximum. So let's go ahead and do that one, which is this one. Just like that, right? And now we'll do the 25th. Is this one. And the 95th is also that one. Like that. And then we have the 75th, which is right in the middle. And its color is this one. That's the same color. Okay, so let's figure out what happened here. That color. There we go. There it is. Just like that. And now all we have to do is bring this as a dual axis, synchronize, and then flip to have the area charts in the back. And there you go. Now what we can do is, let's darken this line just a bit. There we go. We can get rid of this header. We've already synchronized. Entire view. And I think the other thing that I did is I took my, I show the value, nope. Oh yeah. I'm just gonna do open and just call it median and put it on label, and that puts it right out here. I will make sure that I do the line ends of just the end of the line so that I don't get any accidental lines over there. Alignment is going to be that and that, I believe. Maybe? I don't know. I can't remember exactly. But I know that the other thing that I need to do is I need to extend this line here. So let's go... Oh, that's right. I need to make it a continuous, not discrete. It's going to be the date, a continuous date part of hour, right? So the reason that we're going to do this is because that's going to give us extra room on the other end, right? That's going to give us some buffer here so that we can add some space so that our labels go on the outside of the area charts as opposed to being right in the middle, right? It's a silly little hack, but it looks nice in the end, right? So what we're going to do now that we have a continuous axis, because before these are headers, right? Because it's a discrete date part. So these are headers, and you can't edit the width or the, you can't edit headers, right? Headers are just what the value is in the data. But when we go to continuous, now we get an axis, and now we have the ability to play with how wide or short we want that axis to be. So we're going to click on Edit Axis. I'm going to go Custom, and I'm actually just going to bring this to 0. So that starts right at midnight. And I think I increased this to 27, I believe. And then maybe 20, I can't remember. We'll see. But the other thing that I need to do is I now need to format this again because it went back to my digits. So we'll format the axis to be the 12 hour, just like that, right? The other thing that I'll do is I'll edit the axis and I'll only do major tick marks every 3 hours, I think. Every 30, not every 32, there we go. Every 3 hours. And I'll go back, I should have just gone there. So let's do 26 and see what that looks like. There we go. So I do 26 because I want it to extend past midnight, but I don't want to see the I don't want to see the 3 a.m. mark out there, right? The 3 a.m. Tick mark. So that's why you kind of edit that. Again, I can just delete the title of the axis. That does two things. One, it gives more space to the view. It also gets rid of that little stick pin icon that shows you that it's a custom range. So that's another little tip or trick that you can use. And now for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my measure values, and I'm also going to put measure names on label. I'm going to put them on the outside, make it centered, and on the outside. Now, here's where things get fun. If we look at the original that I created for the challenge, you can see here, I don't have labels for the min or the max, but I have them for all of the others. How do you do that? How can I get rid of this label and this label but keep the others? Well, did you know that you have control over individual mark labels? You do. All you got to do is you click on that mark that you want to hide, right click, mark label, and by default it's automatic, but I can click never show and it goes away. Now let's talk about when you would use this. You would use this in I believe you would use this in static visualizations, something like this, right? It's the last mile formatting. If this were a dynamic visualization or something like that, where I don't know, I can't think of an example right now, but just think about that. When you click never show, it literally means never show that mark label. So, and you don't have the option of making it dynamic. Either you always show it or you never show it, and those are your only options. So use that how you want. All right, the last thing we need to do is I remembered I made the median a bold and underlined, and there it is. And that's how you visualize ranges using an unstacked area chart. Unstack it, and then use the unstack it, and then use Z-level ordering of your measure values shelf to manipulate the different layers, which is pretty cool. So, what is this chart? This is just a connected line chart of a box and whisker plot. That's really all this is, right? So if you can imagine, we can do this. You know, you can just recreate the. Actually, let's do that. I'll show you what that looks like. So if we take our glucose here and I make it a dimension, that's going to put dots here, right? Now what I can do is I can go here and do a box plot, and I can put it on just that one, and I want to do it for because I would have to change it back to, all right, let's For a continuous, that's another thing. For continuous, you only get one box plot. But if you want separate box plots, you've got to partition the data. So let's do that. Let's do hour as a discrete date part like this. We'll take our glucose, we'll put it here, we'll make it a dimension so you get your different charts here. We can make it a dot or a circle. We can turn down the size a bit, and then what you can do is you can go to analytics and add a box plot for each cell, and we'll do this. We'll edit it and hide underlying marks, click OK, and now you have the same thing, right? You have, this is the exact same chart. This is your max line. This is your min line, 25th, 75th, and median. The only thing we did is we connected the lines together, which is pretty cool. So it's just another fun way of visualizing ranges and statistics and stuff like that. So anyway, I hope that was enjoyable. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, so there you go. There's how you visualize ranges using unstacked area charts and playing with the Z order of the measure values shelf. Thank you so much for watching. We'll do this again next week. Go forth and viz.